Hey, welcome back to Americhic Art. My name is Vicky, and today I want to talk about what inspires me as an artist and what inspires me to draw. I grew up watching a lot of cartoons. I didn't exactly have a lot of friends to play with, at least my own age, and I didn't have any siblings, so I grew up watching a lot of TV. I grew up mainly in the era where the 90s cartoons were most prominent. This is going to be a lot of nostalgia. So I grew up watching shows like Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, from Cartoon Network, and I grew up watching Rugrats and all that on Nickelodeon. And of course, I grew up on Disney movies. Like, the Renaissance of Disney was one of the key eras that I love watching. I still love to watch it to this day. Now, it could influence my art style. I love watching this sort of animation, but I also grew up watching animation that came from Japan. I didn't know it came from Japan until a lot later, but I grew up watching Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing. I watched the first season of Pokemon. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I loved watching that sort of stuff. So, of course, it influenced my drawings. And you will see here in just a few moments that this is definitely influenced by Sailor Moon because it is Sailor Moon's fan art. To this day, I still love watching animation from Japan. I still like watching some of the old cartoons, but I definitely love watching the animation that came from Japan. And I will be doing a lot more anime-inspired fan art a lot later. I also played a lot of video games, specifically Nintendo video games growing up. I remember playing Super Mario Land on the original Game Boy until it completely frustrated me. I could never beat the last boss. It wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I finally did, and it took me over 20 hours of work. I also played Pokemon, the video game. When originally Red and Blue came out, it was an amazing adventure for me. I remember being 10 and getting it for my birthday, and I had a sleepover with some of my friends, and I practically ignored them to play video games. I know it was rude. My parents knew it was rude, but I had the thing that would keep me occupied for hours and months to come. So that inspired me further along because I could do pixel art if I really wanted to, but I didn't get serious about drawing until a lot later in life. Something else that also inspires me is music. A lot of classical music can affect your mood and put you into a wonderful imaginary space. I've been playing music since I was second grade. I enjoyed it. I really did. I kind of miss playing the clarinet sometimes, but it's not my best skill, so I let it kind of go by the wayside. But I still enjoy listening to music. Certain genres can actually get me to relax a little bit more or pump me up more than the others. Comment of the day, though. If you want to leave a comment below, what types of music do you like to listen to? If you have a specific song to listen to that gets your imagination going, I'd like to hear it. I'd like getting music suggestions. So comment your music suggestion down below. Although this isn't exactly what inspires me as a complete list, but more of what's been inspiring me. I also like a lot of stories and a few authors. They help me with the imagination part. I love to read fiction, or at least listen to it. I've been a Lewis Carroll fan since I was really little. I remember watching Disney's version of Alice in Wonderland, and although it seems like an acid trip as an adult, it did come from the mind of a child. It wasn't until later that I got to read the actual book, and yeah, it's very imaginative. The monsters you would see in there are the ones that would probably haunt your nightmares. But I digress. Speaking of nightmares, another author that really influences my artwork, and it's kind of obvious because I love making drawings based on his stories. H.P. Lovecraft. His dreamscapes stories really get my mind traveling to other places, at least away from here. Before I continue, I do want to say a few things about this piece. Obviously, this is done digitally. It's meant to be fan art and more towards my own style because, let's face it, once you learn a style of drawing something, you really hate diverting from it. Anyways, you can see that I'm trying to put Usagi in her room, trying to make her looking up towards the moon and thinking about something. Obviously, I don't know what, but she's sighing in contemplation. And the moon's kind of shining down on her. So we're getting to the foreground and background of the piece that I'm drawing. Both kind of gave me nightmares when it came to actual construction of it. I had no idea what I wanted to put in there. So I knew I wanted her looking out the window, but I didn't know what position I wanted her in or if I wanted her looking at her reflection. I know she needed to be in her room, but her room's not really the type of setting that I love to draw. I remember as a mega fan as a child, I would see bunnies everywhere, and when it's the United States adaptation from Deke, I think it was, they edited her name to be Serena, which didn't make sense to see bunnies and having her name being Serena. So it wasn't until I actually read the manga and watched the Japanese language version that it started to click. Her name is Usagi. So Usagi means bunny in Japanese. So I wanted to show that part, that she loves bunnies and she likes to play off of her name. So you'll see in a little bit here that I actually draw bunnies as the wallpaper. It seems a very Usagi thing to do. So I really struggled filling in this background. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew that she had a low table in her room in every version of Sailor Moon I've watched. So I put in a low table. I also know she needed an exit to her room. So I put in the door as just a space filler. I knew I could have drawn her bed or her vanity or something, but that's not exactly where I wanted it to go. So I'm getting ready to draw the crescent wand. This is just a quick sketch over. I think I did 2 sketch overs on this. I did look up reference. I mainly do the sketch overs from memory, but I know I needed to look up a reference eventually. So here's about where I looked up the actual reference photo for this wand, and you'll notice that I make a few changes. Actually, I'm happy with the way it turned out, but I really, really need to start remembering to use references and things that I don't remember. So here I'm adding the final details to the background. As I said, the bunnies as wallpaper, as well as a door handle I forgot. I had the hardest time lining these bunnies up, but I figured it out eventually. So here is the final artwork for this piece. I am labeling it as contemplating. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. And leave a comment below if you have any ideas on what show I should go for next. Have a good day.